Coming up, Henry Morgan, William Captain Kidd, Blackbeard, real name Edward Teach, Charles Vane, Calico Jack, real name John Rackham, Mary Read, and Ann Bonny. We made a reference to pirates in a recent video, fun and unique American national holidays that really do exist. Talk like a pirate day, and a co-celebration of meow like a pirate day got a really great response from you guys. One of our YouTube friends, Black Cat Kitchen, sent us this wonderful video to help us out.
Hey Brit Girls Go Stateside, happy meow like a pirate day. Meow.
So, buoyed up with enthusiasm for everything pirate, we decided to make a video about real-life English pirates of the Caribbean. This was during the period known as the Golden Age of Piracy, 1650 to 1720. The fate of most pirates at that time was ultimately being arrested, found guilty, and hung from the gallows. Their bodies were then often displayed in a human-shaped cage hung from a gibbet.
However, some survived, including Henry Morgan, who became Lieutenant Governor of Jamaica and died of natural causes in 1688.
Henry Morgan was born in Monmouthshire, Wales. He began his career as a privateer. A privateer was a private person who engaged in maritime warfare under a commission of war. From his base in Port Royal, Jamaica, he raided settlements and shipping on the Spanish Main, becoming wealthy as he did so. With the prize money from the raids, he purchased 3 large sugar plantations on the island.
To appease the Spanish, with whom the English had signed a peace treaty, Morgan was arrested and summoned to London in 1672. However, once there he was treated as a hero by the people, the leading figures of government, and by Charles II himself.
Morgan was appointed a Knight Bachelor in November 1674, thus becoming Sir Henry Morgan. He continued to the colony of Jamaica shortly afterward to serve as the territory's Lieutenant Governor.
A memoir published in 1678 by Alexandre Esquemilin, a former shipmate of Morgan's, accused him of widespread torture and other offences. Morgan won a libel suit against the book's English publishers, but Esquemilin's portrayal has affected history's view of Morgan. His life was romanticised after his death in 1688, and he became the inspiration for pirate-themed works of fiction across a range of genres, including Raphael Sabatini's 1922 novel, Captain Blood, which is based mostly on parts of Morgan's career.
Captain William Kidd was a Scottish sea captain who was commissioned as a privateer and had experience as a pirate. He was tried and executed in London in 1701 for murder and piracy.
As a young man, William Kidd settled in New York City. By 1689, Kidd was a member of a French-English pirate crew sailing the Caribbean under Captain Jean Fantine. During one of their voyages, Kidd and other crew members mutinied, ousting the captain. They renamed the ship Blessed William, and Kidd became the captain.
Kidd had captured a French ship commanded by a British captain. He had been commissioned by the Crown for this expedition, but the political climate in England had turned against him in this case. Some modern historians believe that his reputation as a pirate was unjust. They say he was acting as a privateer.
On July 6, 1699, Kidd was placed in a stone prison.
No, in stone prison.
Oh.
As opposed to one made of jelly.
On the 6th of July, 1699, Kidd was placed in stone prison.
Stone prison.
Okay. On the 6th of July, 19... You might have to do this paragraph.
It's not me for a change.
I've gone completely. Oh, I just feel so like a wibbly. God, this is ridiculous.
There's a lot of silence. I think we're overtired.
I think so. Can you just do this one? I can't do it.
God, I probably can't do it now. Hang on. On 6th of July 1699, Kidd was placed in... On 6th of July 1699, Kidd was placed in Stone Prison, Boston, Massachusetts, spending most of the time in solitary confinement. His wife Sarah was also arrested and imprisoned.
About a year or so later, Kidd was sent to England to stand trial before the High Court of Admiralty in London for the charges of piracy on the high seas and murder. Whilst awaiting trial, Kidd was confined to the infamous Newgate prison. He wrote several letters to King William requesting clemency, but to no avail.
He was found guilty on all charges and sentenced to death. He was hanged in a public execution on the 23rd of May 1701 at Execution Dock, Wapping, London. He had to be hanged twice. On the first attempt, the hangman's rope broke and Kidd survived. Although some in the crowd called for Kidd's release, claiming the breaking of the rope was a sign from God, Kidd was hanged again minutes later and died. His body was gibbeted over the River Thames at Tilbury as a warning to future would-be pirates and remained there for 3 years.
The belief that Captain William Kidd had left buried treasure in various locations also contributed greatly to the growth of his legend.
Edward Teach, better known as Blackbeard, was an English pirate who operated around the West Indies and the eastern coast of Britain's North American colonies. It is thought that Teach began his career as a sailor on privateer ships before he settled on the Bahamian island of New Providence, a base for Captain Benjamin Hornigold, whose crew Teach joined around 1716. Hornigold placed him in command of a sloop that he had captured, and the two engaged in numerous acts of piracy.
They added 2 more ships, one of which was commanded by Stede Bonnet, a Barbadian pirate, also known as the Gentleman Pirate.
Teach captured a French slave ship known as La Concorde, renamed her Queen Anne's Revenge, equipped her with 40 guns, and crewed her with over 300 men.
He became a renowned pirate, his nickname derived from his thick black beard and fearsome appearance. He was reported to have tied lit fuses under his hat to frighten his enemies.
On the 22nd of November 1718, following a ferocious battle, Teach and several of his crew were killed by a force of sailors led by Lieutenant Robert Maynard.
Teach was a shrewd and calculating leader who rejected the use of violence. He relied instead on his fearsome image to elicit the desired response from those he robbed. He was romanticized after his death and became the inspiration for the archetypal pirate across many genres.
Charles Vane was an English pirate who operated in the Bahamas. He began under the leadership of pirate Henry Jennings.
By 1717, Vane was commanding his own vessel and was one of the leaders of the Republic of Pirates in Nassau. In 1718, Vane was captured. He agreed to stop his criminal actions and declared his intention to accept a king's pardon.
However, just months later, he and his men, including Edward England and John Rackham, returned to piracy.
Vane was notorious for his cruelty, often beating, torturing, and killing the sailors he captured.
In February 1719, Vane was caught in a storm in the Bay Islands and was marooned on an uncharted island. He was discovered by a passing British ship, arrested and brought to Port Royal, where he was eventually tried and hanged in March 1721. His corpse was hung in chains.
John Rackham, aka Calico Jack, was an English pirate captain operating in the Bahamas and in Cuba during the early 18th century. His nickname was derived from the calico clothing he wore, while Jack is a nickname for John.
Rackham ousted Charles Vane from his position as captain of the sloop Ranger. Then he cruised the Leeward Islands, Jamaica Channel, and Windward Passage.
He accepted the king's pardon in 1719 and moved to New Providence, where he met Ann Bonny, who was married to James Bonny at the time.
He returned to piracy in 1720 by stealing a British sloop, and Anne left her husband to join him. Their new crew included pirate Mary Read, who was disguised as a man at the time.
After a short run, he was captured by Jonathan Barnett, an English privateer. In 1720, he was put on trial, and he was hung in November of that year in Port Royal, Jamaica. His body was then gibbeted on display on a small islet at the entrance of Port Royal, which is now known as Rackham's Cay.
Ann Bonny and Mary Read both claimed to be pregnant at their trials, 10 days after Rackham's execution. They were given a temporary stay of execution and imprisoned at Fort Charles. Read died in her cell in April 1721, most likely of a fever related to childbirth. There is no historical record of Bonny's release or of her execution.
Why not tell us your favourite pirate, either historical or fictional, in the comments section below?
We really appreciate you watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like and subscribe to us on YouTube.